Emphasizers. Various emphasizers. By this definition, should be understood not only the words that give emphasis to another word as a constituent of a sentence, an emphasis that we express by intonation, 20 of 2, but also those which are only placed after a word in order to further specify its meaning. These words must not be equated with suffixes 20p. They will be dealt with one by one, and it is hoped to produce convincing evidence that it is difficult to give them another name that have so many meanings that there is a risk of creating misunderstanding if they are given a more significant name. In treating of these words, it will be obvious that even more must be said about what other than was done before. Though this word is placed after a word and stresses it, this stress will be affected by intonation, e.g., Sairodoi mangalap iba. Without doubt, the tiger will come to get you. Saimago do hudibain beku. Without a doubt, you will be destroyed because the actions of the spirits. In these examples, do gives emphasis to the predicate of a main clause 158.3b, but it is also used in a sentence standing by itself, e.g., Bagogoy doa wapur, grant me or master power. Likewise, in the comparison after a predicate or a predicative adjunct in order to express a perfect similitude, e.g., nungas songon na didostosan do tok nasida, RPP 173b, literally. Their dance was a staff. It had been made exactly like, i.e., their dancing was quite regular. Di butuha boloni nunga say songon gara ni apido. He saw the stomachs of the fish as being just like fire coals. In the question, though, less the emphasis on the word representing what it is done wants to know, e.g., Isido guamu, what is your name? Ahado naing panganombo, what do you want to eat? Sali olo doi mabalbal, ABP 84b, is always willing to strike. Adong doi, the roham jupasogot, in your opinion, is that to be found at one time or another? Taktuhokita do nasai, can it be bought by us for so much? Olodoho pasada suara ita, do you want us to make our voices the same? CF6. In a question in which request is made to be allowed to do something, jadido is used. 163 or 11. Do is also used in the reply to such a question, e.g., Hodoi is at do. To which the reply is Audoi, it's me. To the question Ahado natino potmu to hutan namyon, what have you come into our fields to look for? The answer is Pidong na malo maratahata donian na hujalahi. What I'm really looking for is a bird that can speak. When the reply to a question beginning with adong do is a negative one, the reply begins with indang adong 153.3c. E.g., adong do diladang munaon. It is there such a one in your country? The reply in the negative is indang adong pidong na malo magatata diladang namyon. Here in our country, there is no bird that can speak. Occasion is sought introduced by Behado examples in 158.22. Sitopa tu maram. Do places the emphasis on the substantive or on the pronoun functioning as such which is used as the subject. The translation of do is then alone self. No one else, nothing else than, e.g., de bata do manajomi, the gods alone made it sharp. I see jonaha ino do mamunu, The aforesaid Jonah alone killed them. Nasida na dua do magtaban, ABP 178, 114. The two of them took this village themselves. Though places an emphasis on a demonstrative pronoun, which emphasis must be translated by the same, for which Batak has no particular word, e.g. Hudu manasida di taru sopo, di sopo ido hudu si jonaha, di dapot pagtunggui. They sat down in a sopo, and in the same sopo, the dance found Jonaha sitting there. Though it's quite usual after the pronoun e, when it is a substantive to stress its being the motive or the reason for what is said in the sentence following, which begins with asa or divine 163 34, e.g. Ido asa usugo maralapo, that's why I've had you fetch. Ido ibana divine go to son 163 3. Ido divine na hudoko diho papungomu, that's why I tell you to collect it. In the case in which the reason for something is asked, though, like expansions as an emphasizer, e.g. Ado rajanami asadieroko magalapau, why prince have you sent for me? A predicate that is expressed by a verb can also be put in front and be followed by do, but it must then be preceded by the pronoun na, e.g. Na di buksik doau di bayan namate. The reason that I must die is because I have been spat upon by him. Literally, my being spat upon by him is the reason. If do stands after a substantive used predicatively or after a pronoun functioning as such a substantive, then, in order that the verb may function as the subject, it must be made into a substantive by na 126, e.g. Audo namanguli, I am one who comes to buy a wife. When the verb that has been made into a substantive is placed at the beginning of the sentence, and if the subject is second person, then a reapproach is contained in the sentence. When do is used in contrast with a negation, an adapted fact is expressed and it is translated with an adversative conjunction, e.g. Ida da au pais laduk do, I am not a pais but the landuk, idang mangulu matesia butuha do. The child is not alive but has died in the womb. Here the sentence contextual significance of the word can be seen. It is further apparent from the position it occupies after the predicate of a substantive or clause, even where this contains an indirect question, e.g. Tell him that the newly born child is a boy. Lai do natubui, pamanak majolo tu amani na matei, jadi do pasodoto ni pangula goraon, asa binoto be so good as to interrogate the father of the person who has been slain, whether this matter is to be settled by the arbiter, so that it be known. Do is used in an imperative statement to give emphasis to an expressed desire that a thing should be done, e.g. Buan mau alea pang topi doau, carry me father, but carry me wrapped up in your clothes, so that no one shall say me. 164 47a. Salibuniodoi, above all hide it. Do is used after an adverb or an adverbial adjunct to lay stress on it. The translation is then notwithstanding, e.g. Beama di bay na dapat bodat pagbueni at sibut tutong abiga do manaik. How is that? A bodat monkey was able to get a cucumber. It's hanging against a steep rock, notwithstanding. Do is often placed after a word that we translate as an adverb to announce a clause, e.g. Otik do hita magbada muse nungalaw iba na tugijang, ABP 197 121. Just as soon as we begin a quarrel again with our wife, off she'll fly to heaven. In such a case, the subject stands before the predicate. Do is often placed after the predicate in the second conditional clause, in which a contrast expressed to something in the clause preceding it. The translation of do is then, however, on the other hand, e.g., if you dare to kill me, ill luck will certainly be yours. If on the other hand you let me live, good fortune shall be yours. Habe molo di pangguluho doau, saigabe doho, ABP 1, ABP 415 FB. Placed after a predicate, do can even make a sentence into a conditional subordinate clause, e.g., dinagabe mai hatoropat do halak, idadong tagula sa songoni. Thus, for the rich, if one belongs to the common herd, then one can't do that. Do is placed after the subject when, for the sake of emphasis, or when it is to be contrasted with something else, the subject stands at the beginning of the sentence, e.g., wal hataku do di bege ho maksugod o loon mahataki yang go barang hata ni halak do di bege ho maksugod unang dioloko IBB 290 to 113. If tomorrow my words are heard by you, confirm them, but if tomorrow the words of another are heard by you, whatever they might be, don't confirm them. Do is also used to emphasize the manner in which something occurs or should occur, e.g., nungi ditagon si Jonah inana si bongin tu harya rainon, diopa do magbuan inana tu gijang, ABB 290 to 116 FB. Thereupon, Jonah led his mother at night to the aforesaid fig tree. He carried her in his arms, taking her upwards. Finally, it should be noted that do is often used with Psi 158.3 and Nikon 158.2, but rarely with Nunga, except in comparisons RBP 196, 169, 111 FB, P173, 17 FB, and here P341, 112 FB, or where Psi precedes CF RBP 160, 110, 12, 14, P174, 1, 1, and 11 P166, 1, 1 FB, and in 157. Mandailing. In the south, do is used as a conditional conjunction before a clause, e.g., do ngada di pati dauko ita magmusu, ABB 116, 111. If you don't wish to point him out, we must go to war. Another example is in the dictionary. The verb used in such a clause usually which implies wish. Piado, just as Piado, P1 342 announces occasion. BP 187, 13. Juo, which has been borrowed from Mentawai, is used especially in the south with do, with the meaning of yet notwithstanding, e.g., have I not, said I, in fact asked Itede not to let me accompany him. Nevertheless, said he, we go, kehe juo do ita, ABB 130 for 110 FB, di pakulikon nape suada, manalipi suada, lalu juo do ibana tu Tano Pinang, nagogodan. He didn't even bother to reply to it, paid no attention to it, and notwithstanding continued his journey to the country PNR. Also in the short day is used instead of do before the pronoun e.g. RBP 261, 12. Diary uses ngo, e.g., the bird was not hit, but the well containing the means of purification was. Cawan pengurasan ngo kena, ABP 117, 171, 1 FB. Before ngo, mother is always used instead of malot. If, however, malot ngo is used, ngo must be repeated after the predicate, e.g., mother ko kukenaken, etc. 154.7d. Ta malot ngo ibereken, deba ngo anak widi ibit. Mango is used with the meaning of still, e.g., mertahan sip mango, IBP 101, 117 FB. Still, she remains silent. Malot ngango enggeut manganken ABP 101, 115. Still that woman did not want to eat that rice. Leleng mango si Haji Tonggel mengelapa takal kerbo si ranggil ini ABP 95, 114 FB. Haji Tonggel mengelapa still forgot to cut. Haji Tonggel still forget to cut the head of the buffalo ranggil into pieces. Mango is often used with Nola to strengthen the letters CF Namu in Toba. Below for e.g. I dapat Nola Mango enggot tasak paradan I bagasan koden. ABP 96, 113. Again, he found food already prepared in the pot. I olihin Nola Mango lako ideya. ABP 153, 11 FP. Again, he went to pedal the boat. Mango is also used in questions, e.g. Jadi mango katemu ABP 123, 111 FB. Do you think that is allowed? Ise mango kono siroh idi ABP 1114. Who is it who is coming? Anggo mango ale kaltu ibahankan manuk-manuk saib ladang gerak kini. ABP 121, 114. Has the bird saib ladang already got a name for you people? To which they reply, EB 118 is enggo sikane mango geramu. ABP 128, 120. What is your name? Ise mango endia si mertasakan panganan nami ini. ABP 97, 14 FB. But who is it who has prepared our food? CF ABP 129, 117 and 110 FB. P16, 117 FB. It is also used when an inquiry is made regarding the reason for something, e.g. kade mangwa sa mengar nina manuk-manuk saib ladang. ABP 122, 19 FB. What says he is the reason that the bird saib ladang makes such a noise in diary? Mother mango has the meaning of however, not never, CF 158, 10D. Iji, kudabu pe bulu singawan mada mango kubege pegdabuhna. ABP 614 FB. Though I've let this a section of bamboo fall, I've never had it drop. CF ABP 58 FB. Mada mango kumatakan so mada tuhus sulengku idi. ABP 28, 12. When there is a printer's error, my agrupy pipe has never said what was not true. It has, on the contrary, always spoken the truth. Kumatakan si tuhum mango. Mango is also placed after a word that, for emphasis, is repeated. E.g. Dori da sinuan, dori mango mahan dapatan ipodin, bunga nisuan, bunga mango mahan dapatan. ABP 166, 14 FB. If in fact one plants tons, then tons one will get. But if, on the other hand, one plants flowers, then flowers are to be expected later on. Jelmana IDP tongkik mango. ABP 183, 118. His wife also was deaf, just as were the two persons already mentioned in conditional clauses. Mango is used after the predicate with the meaning of indeed really, e.g. muda masih mango penari hinendene midah aku. ABP 134, 113 FB. If you really have compassion for me, muda si empo mango nimu alepa bagasta idi. ABP 76, 15 FB. If, as you say, Father, we really wish to consecrate our house, mango is used to stress a designation of quantity or to strengthen a negative, e.g. Karina mango enggeut. ABP 134, 12. P133, 13 FB. Always disposed to. Mahalot mango is a menokor. ABP 154, 11. Not one person wanted to buy it. It is also used after exclamations, e.g. Teka mango menter. Jumpa ku ombang-ombang laena. How fortunate that I find the piece of bamboo immediately while I am being hauled to and fro by this water. Another example 164D. The abbreviation mang also occurs in its place after robot to express contentment with what one observes, e.g., seeing her son coming home with so many birds. She said, "My dear, you really have got something, for I see you are carrying many birds. Now we'll have plenty, and we can eat our fill of birds first." Kenan mang kono dabapa 98D piduk ide embue mango kuidah ihentat kono penduma mamo kita kepekan besuk mangani jukut piduk ABP 143 112 FB. Having heard the tiger was caught in the trap, he said, "How fortunate we are, my dear friend. The tiger that ate my son has already been caught in the trap." Tuah nami ale enggo mangkepe jumpa jebak ini pihak si mangankan anak wili ABP 17219 FB. Anggo, this word is used before a word that, in order to give it emphasis, is placed at the beginning of the sentence. It is placed before a substantive that, as the subject, precedes the predicate, e.g., Anggo gawaw na si Bogo Magdi yang Omas, ABP 63 116 FB. Her name is Miss Magdi yang Omas. It is so used often in reply to a question where it is placed before the word representing the thing one wants to know something about, e.g., "Tell me, then, what does he look like?" Anggo parhalak na nagijang nabulon ibana. ABP 157 114 FB. As to his appearance, he is tall and heavily built. Where is the quail with the pointed tail and cock that lays eggs? Anggo manuk sabungan na magpira orman na hubuhan. Alay anggo lote na malaylay magsugod ihubuat. The cock that lays eggs, look, I am carrying it, but the quail that has a pointed tail, not until tomorrow shall I take that. Anggo is placed before an verb or an adverbial adjunct on which emphasis falls, e.g., Anggo nanon say namati doho bayanoku, now you shall certain be put to death by me. The previous time you escaped. When an adverbial adjunct expresses a contrast with another, it is often put before it and then has an accusative meaning equaling alay. See following page, e.g., Anggo dison idadong hitam manaon ay HORAS aik dison, Anggo disi unong do aik. Here we won't be able to hold out because the water is flowing strongly, but then the water is calm. A substantive that, by means of the 159.1, functions as the object of an adjective verb and stands first in the sentence, must anggo before it, e.g., anggo di dalan si Degyon una kogumolso, ABP 613 FB. About the road that is to be taken, you must not be anxious where anggo omitted, then the dalan si Degyon would stand after whom also. When an adjective verb functioning as a substantive is placed first in the sentence, then, by the same use of anggo, it can be indicated as being the object without the and even without the pronoun na, e.g., anggo magtupi una ko humoso IBP 40 116 FB, regarding the one who goes in front to indicate the path, thus be anxious. Using anggo in the same way, even an active verb functioning as an adverbial adjunct without a preposition, 126A, can stand in the front of the sentence, e.g., anggo mabayu matua pande. At weaving, she is very skillful. Anggo magbulan olodoaw, BP 3219 FB. Solemnly to conclude an alliance is what I am willing to do. Anggo is also placed before an adverb where it stands before a clause, which by a conjunctival adverb is placed in relation to the clause following, e.g. Laguboti Balige Pamilangina Magtuwasawada Dohita Nasinwatan 9 ABB 74 115. In that manner, he was the way in which she was counting her by him, yet it was she measuring out was not seen by him, i.e., do he heard her counting in that manner he did not see, etc. Ango is placed before a substantive that functions as a subject in order to prevent people getting the wrong impression. For example, when the visitor pushed the betel post towards her with the request that she should partake of it, Nanjom Bailik said, Anggo Hajutu in Darung Marisi, ABP 1814, my post is empty, by which he prevented the visitors accusing her of being impolite, it being the custom that when a person receives a visitor and takes his betel is presented in return. Anggo is also used when an Assetian is doubted because it is not in agreement with what has already been heard, e.g. Anggo Pahupum Pabuaon Diao, ABP 157-19 FB. On the contrary, Jorgensen has told me that Anggo is placed before an imperative to give it emphasis. The translation is, by all means especially please, e.g. Anggo Patudot Aili Namagbuan Hujuri, please show me the wild boar that has carried away the lens. Udang Anggo Padidekon 118, the car between Sangmai Mandatu Dalu P 11T. Please don't let the come fall. A substantive or a pronoun functioning as such is by means of Anggo often proleptically used and placed at the beginning of the sentence when the clause following as the agent of the subject it is only indicated by means of a first passive or a pronoun, e.g. ay Anggo siya panugat indadong dita daang ginaibe alay Anggo ibana sa dita dado hahanay ABP 80 113 FB. As for Aji Panugat, his younger brother was no longer recognized by him, though he himself recognized his older brother. Angonidokmi, Tongodoi, what you have just said is quite right. If a substantive mentioned merely in this way, tasingot di can be placed after the Anggo, e.g. Anggo taksingot di pangguru barang sadia, di mo indadong hujuwawan IBP 18112. With regard to the apprenticeship premium, I shall not refuse to pay whatever it is. When the substantive stands after the predicate, Anggo gives the substantive an emphasis which effects a restriction, e.g. Huto pape Anggo gamu, or right I watch or I wrote for you, i.e. because that's all you want me to do. At first around, unang damang sa Anggo pangulim. Don't be anxious about money to buy you a wife. In which example the proposition is suppressed. Should the substantive stand before the predicate, pala is frequently used before the substantive 158.7, but that this is not necessary can be seen from the frequently use of angoi in order to lay emphasis on something stated previously as a thing that can either be granted easily or that can be explained with little difficulty. It can be created with if that's all, if all that, e.g. Anggoy buat damang, ABP 49 118, if that's all friend take it, Anggoy bogoton hamu tutobu, IBP 50 14, if that's all you want to do, tie your dog up to the sugar cane, Anggoy mangido mapalajai tunapunasai, IBP 49 17, if that's all, it is enough, the pedlar asks it for the owner. Anggo usually has a recitative meaning when it stands before a word which is at the end of a clause, e.g. Sukot ni hagabeon na ibana ang gumagomas aliagodak dan aksara pesuada ABP 1T. He was extremely rich in that he had gold. But as regards children, there was not even one. Molodung hubay ni na idadong olo gobi gutuhu taon anggo olo anggola mabuat jolma. If I have prepared that remedy, says he, then no spirit will enter this village with the intention of taking away human beings. I.e., a spirit may be able to produce diseases, but it will not be able to kill anyone. Here it can be seen how, by means of ango, two-both interpretation is avoided. With this meaning, ango can also imply a conditional conjunction, e.g., indadong olo mula kau, ango idadong dapat tau. I shall not return, that is to say, if I am unable to find it. When ango is placed at the beginning of a sentence, it can make the use of more superfluous, e.g. anggoi hinabiaramu idatung bunuokuhamu. ABP 631 160 FB. If that is what you are afraid of, because I assume you people will not be killing by me. One can also say moloido hinabiaranmu, etc. Before tung especially, ango is interchangeable with molo. CF RBP 34 113 120 and 120. Ango frequently takes the place of molo in a following sentence or in a second conditional clause in which is expressed contrast to the one preceding. HP or ally often drop out 163.5. E.g. molo na olo doho magbulan dot iba na udang dibunuh manaik mau tu gijang habi anggo iradong ra o magbulan itawon mau pabuhungon IBP 32 116 FB. If you wish to take an oath with her that you will not kill her, then climb above. If you don't want to do that, then stay here below and suffer from numbness. CF IBP 251 16 FB. Where there is a lie anggo diliod do pango wasan 101 anggo songon na hudoki situtus binay ni hatata ABP 252 117 FB. But if what I have said is in accordance with our agreements, you have another example in 128. The second conditional clause often begins with ia, editu ango, e.g. molo nunga mati tutu asalau hita iango mangulu na podo leon titinon IBP 83 1 tef FB. If he is really already dead, then we'll go, but if he is still alive, then give him this ring. Iango can be placed before a word to express contrast, e.g. if that's so, then go, but I won't return yet. Iangoa inda dongolo mulak napuro ABP 83 M. No matter how many people have come to gamble, I've never lost, but that one he has defeated me. Iangoi nungataru au dibain ABP 81 117 FB. Iango is also used to emphasize condition and then agrees with provided that e.g. inda dong dai dabamang iango dengan niro habe dos songoni ABP 55 1 TFB. Well, my dear son, there's nothing wrong with it, provided everyone is in agreement. Ango is often used after a conjunction instead of molo, e.g. Ayango na binunu di jolma dosia di pamasa sowado lau habiyaun abi P83 121 FB, because if Aji Pamasa has been killed with somebody, then I will not be taken as a wife by his brother. Ango is also used to contrast a negative statement with two, e.g. tata doi da buat indah dong jadi anggo na masak is be taken uncooked if cooked may not be taken. Anggo seldom nango 157 from an example Sidikalang and Aksara. Mandarin often uses ango at the beginning of a cause as an indication that one of two conjunctions have been suppressed, e.g., go my son, wherever your journey may lead you, because if you continue to stay here, Angolang di Sodo ABP 122, 129, 116 FB. Nasotola do Pandaonokon doi daraki anggo di Padaoko doi anggo so sadarianan mata noruga Tanjung Telomon ABP 128 M. It is not advisable that the child be allowed to live, because if you let it live, then this line of activity will at some time be devastated. CF also 68 to emphasize a contrast. Nian is often used instead of Iyango, but follows the word, e.g. Au Nian C158 5 Iyangoa Godo Nipiku Toga. Dari uses Hakum, e.g. Hakum ni Dokmuidi Tuhungoidi RBP 262 14 FP. With regard to what you have said, it is true. Hakum gagal piduku idi hale manuk saib ladang mo gerak na idi. RBP 149 14 FP. The name of my bird friend saib ladang, that's its name. CF RBP 9 11. Harga Hakum harga manuk saib ladang ku idi ale sili 10 hargana. RBP 130 111. The price of my bird saib ladang brother-in-law 12 Spanish species is its price. CF 13060. Malat ku bereken Hakum si selup beras. RBP 116 16 FB. I'm not going to give it for just a solid of unhatched rice. With Hakum to a conjunction may be surpassed, e.g. Hakum pitu ria ngo kanca penawarmu madangmu saubamu perbinaganta idi RBP 150 111 FB. If your bid is only 7 reals, then my merchandise shall certainly not be yours. It is also used in a second conditional clause instead of muda, e.g. tapi Hakum lot ngoi bagasan bulan si sada ena mengkatakan si tuhuna ngo sulengku idi RBP 23 14 FB. But if there is such an increase in those people in this month, then my augury pipe has told the absolute truth. Hakum is also used instead of muda with the negative mada. RBP 71 19 FP. Hakum malot indicates a necessary condition, e.g. Hakum malot ngo jumpa kene pelanduk tonggal balaman idi malot sorong kembali duka bertikku ena RBP 21 19 FB. Unless you people find a pregnant male roebuck, that which I carry in my womb cannot become a child. As a conjunction C163 60. Nay, the predominant meaning of this word is insistence on the speedy completion of that which is desired, e.g. lao ne pidong pune tu rumah RBP 2616. Go now bid pune to the village. Lopa dihamisi panganoni ne tu bagasta RBP 2319. Go now and cook food for us in your house. CF RBP 217 19. Lao ne habang RBP 206 now fly. Raja ho alap mane. The carwe when sang my mind tu dalu. P1118. Get it now, I beat you. Ne is seldom used before ma directly after the predicate as a means of showing that which is expressed by the predicate is on the point of taking place. But an example is had sunema. We will soon be finished. See the example in 5.1. It is also used as an exclamation, e.g. on mani ababna adi mane hutata kuteseni chunari on mane ibuluna madek di tongani alaman. Look, its feathers have fallen on the alaman. Mandraxus ni iji alap ni jolo RBP 23 14. Go now if you please and fetch AUM Yoma Dijolo, ABP 2316 FB Atong Alak Mani, ABP 20 ABP 28121. Now fetch him immediately. K Hemahoni, ABP 4914 P 965 115. However, Mandarin shows new with beta in Jumulo to space BC 164 48 EG beta Mane Jumulo Ho, ABP 168 116. Now let us go together. You go first. In Mandarin, he is used here. He is used as an exclamation C 164.49. Dairi Ne is an abbreviation of Ninge Sender 5. E.g. Otak enggang ne geraku. My name is no longer enggang. Note, the ne of Toba and the ni of Mandarin can only be pronominal interjections, e.g. i.e. Various of Indi 153 or an earlier only instead represented only 141.22. Ne has therefore come to be used as an adverb of time. Now CF only in Mandarin and on as an adverb of time 143. P. It is placed after a word to emphasize the thing represented by that word as being something added. This addition may be meant either for introducing as an explanation believing the thing, the explanation of which is requested, or for a said thing in the future that which the word represents. The following usages derive from this definition. A positive assertion that something will occur in order to either to reassure a person or to express a firm conviction, e.g. Molo so jadi di audison, lau peau barang tu dia hujalahi inganatu. If I can't stay here, I'll go elsewhere and look for a place for myself. Uliope maksugot iho. I shall give it to you tomorrow. Maksugot idang pe manuda. Tomorrow there will not do damage to the plantation. Maksugot pe hubuat. I shall take it tomorrow. Au pe patupa hai juramu. I shall effect the man that which you come down. Gira pe auro maja mangayahiamu mangayahiho. I shall pursue you without delay. Akid pe diahap, he will catch it patiently. Molodais na biromunai hubu ripe. If the blackness on you comes off on me, I shall wash it off. Posko anida inang ida pehupangan. IVP 7813. Don't be anxious, beloved daughters, I shall certainly not eat him up. Ida da pehutilikami. The Caribbean sang my wenda to the rupee 2119. We shall not look at it all. We shall not look at it all. When the negative is the first word in this clause, it is usually expressed by dada, and the clause following pe is to be regarded as a substantival clause functioning as the subject, so that in dada peupangan really means the shall eat him is not the case, i.e. I shall not eat up. Idang pe is also used, but then there is less stress on the negative, e.g. idang pe pasua di ho ibana sogot audo mga puho. After this, he won't be angry with you. I shall speak for you. Idang pe is found alongside idara pe in the same text, so there is no question of there being a difference in dialect, e.g. idara pe hupabua tu si anak dina burung. I shall not tell it to your bridegroom, and idang pe hupabua tu si anak dina burung. Here idada must be interpreted as a stronger negative by explaining it as a predicate. Pe is used after olo to express complete agreement, e.g. olo pe anak ina burung certainly beloved husband. Mandarin just nadai idang pe, e.g. nadai ulubau di hamu, ABP 120-110. Nadai is also used with be, e.g. nadai be hubunuhu, I no longer want to kill you. In order to emphasize another verb of time, e.g. Ope 11a, lau mahamu jumolo to huta, ABP 45-17. Go now first to the village. Ope masuk mahoangi to huta town, ABP 46-117. Go now, brother, into this village. Ope molorado homabuati panganoku udakupangako, ABP 53-14. Well, now if you are willing to fetch that for me to eat, then I want you eat up. Bahasa Onat Beta Ulai. Let us do it again in 4 days' time. P is often used to represent the point of time at which was mentioned could first take place, e.g., or Piasa Jupa, it is at this point of time where it is found, i.e., only now have we been able to obtain it. Nung piao dawaso, but only when I am far off, must take it. Sitoki not pelao. He has only been gone a moment. Or another example, 64 an. Cholo can be used before the adverb instead of pe when time is specified 157, provided that as also used, e.g., Cholo sibongin nasa sirao tu ikayumuna. Only when night comes, then use it as salt to your side dishes. Pe can be used with the pronoun e when it is concerning a substantive to indicate the time in the past and also to refer something that has been mentioned before and is given as the reason for something that is being said, e.g., ipe asa jupa, only then could it be found. Sumaliko tiat harak siabog dituboko ipe bari mahotian hutaun. You are different from another being because you brought a grasshopper into the world. That is the reason that I desire you to leave this village. DC can also be used instead of e in order to express time more specifically. E.g., nung mati yakin musutai sa luhod na isibe asaro hamuna pataru ugasan ni musutai. When all our enemies are dead, then only must you come and bring their property. Ay na dibotoi do daw ni bogu ni rajay molo idang dibotos di sima tapangan. Perhaps that man knows us remedy for the prince's complaint. If not, then we shall eat him. CF 152. Pe is used with the adverb muse. The letter acquires the meaning of letter afterwards. Here the influence of Mandarin asserts itself. 22 of 1, e.g., muse pehita magharawan itasuro majolo na posui mangalap raja na humaliang ladaron. Later we shall have a feast, but first let us send the servants to fetch the neighboring princes. The place is emphasis on a word in such a way that the thing represented is marked as something added. The translation of pay is then also even, e.g., the fruit above was uncountable, underneath also. He saw that the fruit that had fallen was lying spread in great quantities. Ito rupe na marugus nung darat dida. ABP 7:1:1. Hope, so maoto ho hudul libatui. You also are not so stupid as to sit on the stone. Take that woman's wife. Her hair is very long, i.e., this additional fact is further proof of her beauty. Abu nape matua gijang ABP 23:1:15 FB. Moloido hatsa dapat ho. Moloido hatsa dapat to. Ipe Ujaro. If that's all you've been able to get, I'll take that you do. Au pedau pungi. ABP 151:119 FB. She's also my grandmother, literally. Me too is his grandmother. Sopa ninapuga nope. Dos dohot sopa ko. ABP 97:19 FB. Street battle quit also is like my chief. Pulung jelok pe di lobu ilomak. ABP 279:12 FB. The vegetable called jelok also grows abundantly in the opposite grain. Pe is often used with the meaning after an interrogative to express the general and the unspecified. CF 147, e.g., adigat pe garagot do utang tungguan singer. ABP 262:19 FE. Whenever a debt has to be paid and a claim to be settled, Boa penimu idang olo au manoto, I will not dance, whatever you say, isepe idang bolas hutul disi. No one whosoever may sit there. Boa pe dia pui idang olo sip. However much his mother tried to soothe him, he would not be quiet. So songodia pe pokos di halak say makuta do. Whatever the poverty of man, he is still a village. by means of pe with the meaning of also, even a native verb that without a preposition functions as an appropriate jam 126 2a can be placed at the beginning of a clause, e.g. makapetan pe malo. He is also skilled at playing the hapetan. Matuai anak poso-poso pe jawati. Matuai pe anak poso-poso pe jawat. Eat the time also for probable taking the newly born child to eat the water. It is unfavorable for taking a newly born child to the water. In mangan pe ho in the dongolo, you don't even want to eat mangan because it refers to something that is so obvious that a denial of it is unbelievable, reinforces the negative. To strengthen against negative, paste place after a word designating a small quantity, either a number of words such as ipos, lanok, and lisa. It is also used after a verb that represents a small movement, e.g. sada pe idangadong mangulu musunay. There was not one of his enemies that lived. Tung sada pe nagoi idadong na mangate idadong na mangate mangalo. IBP 112.15. On those that came, not one dared to oppose him. Tung ipos pesada suwada dapat, umutik pesawada 157a. Bigwahana pesoada. He had nothing whatsoever. The negative use in such cases is soada. Pe place after the predicate makes a consecutive clause, which stands first, followed by the main clause, in which do comes after the predicate, provided the main clause is affirmative. If the main clause is negative, the negative is expressed by soada or by indada, e.g. didok kamu pesongoni si pautoto munanui. Even if you people do say such a thing, it's just a piece of deceitful prattle of yours. So mate pe di benapi, mate do di ben rasun. Even if he doesn't die by fire, he still die by poison. Songo dia pe pogos ni halak say mahuta do pi 333 itali pe suwada ulubil the carved sang may manda to dalu pe 1. Though he hacked with all his might, still with wild bows were not affected. Hutalik pe suwada ulumabugang the kal etc. p2. Though I hit out of them, still they were not wounded. For an example with Latsuada, C154L. When in main clause the predicate is expressed by a first passive, then indada is used, e.g. Dilho pe hobomi saluhuna, idada hujalo the carrot etc. P213 is even if you give all your buffaloes, I still won't take them. Peso used after a subject that stands at the beginning of a clause, the meaning of which is in contrast with the one following, which begins with iatung, e.g. dongana taluibe huida di sopo di bayakoko iatung sasadau tutoku di balatu di sopomon au di bayakoko. IBP 96, IBP 69. Those who just as I have lost to you. I see them held by you as prisoners in your sopo, but me alone have you put in the stocks here under the steps of your sopo. The same way pe is used with apala, e.g. apala hamuna pe jolma apala au boguni de bata tung di tiok hamuna au. Although you are a human being, and I am the daughter of God, you dare detain me. Pe is also used to bring distinct subjects in clauses to the beginning of each clause. When the predicate in each clause is expressed by the same word, e.g. Bau jaugai pe dengan sikogu pe dengan. IBP 180.13. Both bajaugai and sikogu are doing well there. Pe follows many words that are used as consecutive conjunctions, e.g. Artik pe dictionary under artik, asipe, kasipe, diary, D 163 9D. Hagu pe, okjagu pe, RBP 238 114 FB, P60, 113 FB, etc. P placed after the predicate in a pre-clause makes a clause in which a fact is mentioned of which the motive or the reason is given in the clause following, e.g. Ropeau to son adong manahudok with regard to my coming here. There is something I wish to say. Toba maringanan lomonikohaku doon that I have come to this forest to live. It is my own choice. Ubay na diujopot pe ang ginay na hindi ba na bugbog na tuluy. RBP 8317. What made him push his brother into the cabin was that he wanted the woman for himself. Umbay na go pe hami to son oddo na huala pidongon. The reason that we have come here is that I want to fetch this bird. Magngolongolan pe di tobakon, toba na purati do na hujagai. The reason that I am so alone in this wood is my battle, which I must guard. I am alone in this wood because I must guard my battle plans. Tajom peduri niyan tibas to tons asa because it is there not to be so. So mga peyaw sa na magmunik do haku ABP 128 113 FB. I do not eat because I am meditating. So such pre-clauses with P are especially used in answers to questions regarding the reason for something. Example C ABP 112 and 15 FB 164 18 FB P 264 14 and 9 FB and here 163 3. In diary subtoba, asa is often used before such a pre-clause, e.g. asaropeau adong manahudok. The reason that I have come is that I have something to say. Example in diary asaropeau wale tuang lot mo lehe penarihin ku lako bamo otang lehe ni beltok ku ABP 67 1 FB. The reason, sister, that I have come is that in my mind there's a hunger for you. The hunger is not in my stomach. This is to reply to kade mo tong kiring mo mi baga sena ABP 67 117 see also ABP 259 13 FB. The in which a verb indicating duration or an addition of time is a combination of do or now 165 and P. Do P is the form that predominates in Mandailing. Various are DP, DAP, 20, PD, and Podo, 26 obs 2 and 28 1A. PD and Podo often have na before them, e.g. na Podo and na PD. Another variant is na P. Na P is still more, yet it can also imply futurity, but must then be used with an verb. But in Toba do not even the use of nape, and therefore examples from both languages will be given, e.g. nagbagdalan nape ang guduwa taonon ABP 321 1-2. The one who still be traveling these 2 years is I. I'll be traveling these 2 years. Masugot magulang dape hami dohot dahahang ABP 158 118. Tomorrow my brother and I 147 shall go to the market to Dumia nape 163 4B. Adong dope buku pasigodongan nape silaon na di bain huria ni rohana. I do have a daughter, though because of the state of her spirit at her age. The only work she can do in the field is lifting the garden. She is not yet old enough to do other work. Sialapon na pede, it has still to be fetched. Ami, aruag dope to batu mamak. AB2 140 119 FB. As far as we're concerned, we'll go to Batu Mamak Aukehe dope mga lului Au kehidupan mangaluina ni si mogot raja lalu. AB2 P13 110 FB. I am still going to look. I am still looking. I'm still going to look for mogot raja lalu model. Au mangalapinggan dope tulumban di bata di kijang AB2 P44 133. I'm going to heaven to get this CF also AB2 P60 13FB P112 117 FB P278 12FB Indaung dope RB2 P165 117 FB o indang nape indang na podo simple 157 o indang na pidi indang podo and indak kudo 12 of negative forms in order to indicate something that has not yet taken place. The same idea is expressed by means of ratio 153 158 10 as can be seen in RBP 167 119 P166 119 FB in Mandalay, especially where it tends towards Toba, Nada Polo RBP 277 110 and 118 FB. All cooks were sending the use of the RBP 282 119 FB or DOPI RBP 278 12 FB. Without a negative, Gabe is another variant. I can offer an explanation of the form DPD and DPD dengan above footnote and 3722 ops 2 also occur. Nar is used with a designation of quantity of a quantity indicating the addition of the quantity and is placed at the end of the clause e.g. P2 bongin nari, still 7 periods of 24 hours. Sadia daw nari, how far still? Piga bongin nari, how many nights or days still? Sahali nari, once more, as an available chunk at another time. Sautik nari, a little more in the Chitok nari. IBP 79 117 P 183 18. Agiat sebelah nari rap hita di son. May we have still a month here together. Idahani diau di banari. IBP 166 11. Still some more rice for me. Nari is often used with attributive designations of quantity in order to stress a thing or a number of things in the contrasting manner as belonging to something or things already stated, e.g. anak nai sionom halak nari. He sons the remaining 6 other sons, CF 148, 6 and dictionary under Southern Deva. Sanga 158, 18 is used with a negative to indicate a quantity that has not been reached. It precedes the number, e.g. in Daung Sanga Pitu Noli, not yet 7 times. Muse preceded by na is used to express the repetition of an action, especially where the predicate relates to different subjects, e.g. he put on his trousers and also his scarf. Isoluk mana muse na HORAS na ABP 57 11 CF ABP 57 110 and P63 111 and 14. Di harana muse mahalak siaji Tarutung. ABP 269 14 and 16 FB. He also invited Aji Tarutung to come. CF ABP 260 112. Muse is sometimes used with the hot and the FF 161, e.g. masuk na musema dohot idahan ABB 319 110 FP. The rice also was ready. Muse can also indicate futurity, especially Mandarin CF above 4 to n. Pada varian buse soket is used 20 ops 1, e.g. tumudak au buse teman langit dung na bunuanmu bunuh maau. If you still must kill me after I shall have come back from heaven, then kill me. CF also 160 11. When Mandailing leans towards Toba, Buse is used just as Muse. The lengthened form Buse ngani CF 38 is also used, e.g. dida iya ma Buse ngani ala na puna bodili. IBP 287 110 he saw the person again from whom the gun had come. She also 148 6.
dari has dengar or they'll be fitted deng tapi iji terida dengar it can still be seen di kedengar ngo umpung ku holy IBP 17112 where is your master now IBP 1414 maluk dengar kene murah mori ni kutandene si segen dengar ngo asa bengket kita mi bagas ku rimbari di IBP 5714 FP. It is still not possible for you to return home because only tomorrow we shall consecrate my house with a feast. Tengah ni mo tempana tah dikena dengan si kurang na. IBP 561 look at this form to see which part is still lacking. Engat mo kono tengan mo kepandinmu. Tah enggo jadi tah malut dengan jadi IBP 251-4. Wake up and look at your smith's work to see whether it is good or not good enough. Kusokan lubeken tah kadisa dengan mango nina pahatna idimoli tah mada IBP 236-110. First, ask whether he still wants his chisel or not. The negative maluk dengar see that example here. You also abbreviated untuk madenga and mading for nola and ena nola b C150-23D. B. This word is placed after the word to which it relates. It has two meanings which it is difficult to connect with each other. Placed after the predicate and the object when the verb is active, and after the agent which follows the verb. When the verb is passive, is pressed the action represented to each of the persons concerned. It precedes ma and do, e.g. digo hibe ma hondi panginumani, each of them filled with the hondi from which the drinking was to be done. Anggo garang nami huban hami be tian hami. As to our payment, we shall each bring it from outside. Di pagohon bema tolongi, each of them erected the tolong that was to represent him as warrior. See dictionary. Di patajom nasida bema pisona 76. Itaduk bema di jolo lungun nirohata BP 175-1-2. Let each of us from his side lay bare his grievances. Pijuk bema nata piyo inon. BP 314-1-3. Each of the invited guests went below. Pulik daling be nasida morom. Each of them was sleeping at different daling. Must be molak be mahajuk nai. IBP 164-112 FP. That porch of his was given back on both sides 100. I.e. each one of them handed back to the porch which had been pushed towards him. Mabain hubuna be manasida. Each of them made a trench for himself. One can say also say masibain hubuna manasida 76 tabuan ni dongat sabalokon akasunema ayakanadong bedo lahilahina. The failing to be done by the owners of the fields adjoining mine will soon be completed because each field has a man in it.
A designation of a quantity can also stand first in the clause as a predicate, e.g. Sitonga vihita, we get half each. With such a designation of quantity, or where more than two things have already been mentioned, ganup or gunop is often added. The B being placed after the number and forming with it an adverbial parenthetic clause, e.g. nunga ganup, sarabanat B, nasida. Each of them already had a rabanan, as a gonop layanan na pitu halak sa pigat B dilian gurui. Each of his 7 brothers-in-law presented that guru with a dish, a gold dish, so that he should take their sister to wife. Ganup satungi di paujak sadabi to losung inon BB 253-16. Each of the 7 satung referred to were erected by him on each the 7 losung. The verb ganupi, which means especially to provide everybody without exception with something, CF dictionary also use e.g. diganupi maganup wipe isini utai sapulbe tibahola tai non ABP 322 115. He presented each of the households that made up the inhabitants of the village with that Lata tobacco, each of them a handful. When a negative is used, ganup or gonop is absolutely necessary in order to prevent confusion with B when the letter has the meanings given under two hereafter. Ijangopala ham yun sawada ganup hami maguli juhud malam di ho ha pereonon even as here. Not every one of us has been given meat, and yet it should be given to you. B has a continuative meaning when used with a negative or in occasion, and it is often used twice. At the same time, in occasion or it especially expresses futurity, e.g. if again the creditor turns up, what will then serve as part payment of my debts. Habe panopik nopihi niu takube BB 221 123. Adong tu dia beau lau do angikon BB 168 13 FB. Where would I still be able to go with this, my younger brother? Idadong be mula ko to the bata digijang BB 104 113. You will not return again to the upper gods. Unang beho magbubu BB 25 114 FB. Don't set any more fish traps. In the dong behulo paso mulak to gijang. I am no longer going to release you so that you can go to the upper world. In the dong be di poto gajai gamona di topagi RPP 715 FB. The prince no longer knew which path he had to take in the forest or the sample C 133 1. Base often used with sadia and a second passive when the uselessness of doing something is expressed in the form of occasion, e.g. naung songonido sogoniarini dipangidohon rajokina sadia bei tartangison. Like that is now the head of that one, depended by his destiny of what the fate is to weep about it. In a case like this, adong can be based at the beginning of the clause instead of be, e.g. adong sadia tak panono pogos nina niahap ABP 144 117. Of what use is said to go into the depths of the mysterious one experiences. Adong sadia tahol son ho samate ABP 169 110. Of what use is it to be apprehensive about that? See also ABP 119 116 FB. Mandarin is long cop ganup see dictionary but does not otherwise deviate. Is nada ia idiot B ABP 192 11. He is no longer here. CFRB P 193 17. Nada benataratako ausomate RBP 25 13. You can no longer prevent my dying. CFRBP 185 119 P 256 117 FB. From these examples, it can be seen that if the subject stands first in the class, base placed right at the end of it, there it does not deviate as regards one. For example, C113 C113D. In occasion, it uses NOLA 158 to 23, but with a negative nenge or the abbreviation ne, e.g. ahan ken kita pitung kelang ulang nenge paku kita, let us leave 7 lengths and not cut any more of it. Are the samples here above 133 1D, 153D, and here 3D. For NOLA with mango, C1D. Ma also lays emphasis on the word or words after which it is placed, at the same time expressing the desire of the speaker, either by a wish, a request, or a comment that something should take place, or it expresses his wish that something to be regarded as taking place. Ma is therefore used not only for the expressing of a wish, as for example in the command and order, invitation, etc., but also where a being in a state or an act is represented as being unfinished, the effectuation of the state of the completion of the act being brought about by an additional circumstance. The example explaining the use of ma will be divided into those expressing a wish and those that do not, expressing a wish that something should take place, e.g. Maridi Marita Jolo IBP 43 15FB. Let us be Tapalu Majolo Godang di Bagas Town IBP 37 114 FB. Let us make music here in this our house. Tatikig Maijolo Magsugod IBP 78 111 FB. Let us go there tomorrow. All these examples contain a friendly invitation, the friendliness being expressed by Jolo 150, the use of which would have been sufficient. The ma in such cases be omitted, e.g. Magadian Hita Jolo IBP 41 13 FB. Let us rest. Ma is used with an imperative expressed in a friendly manner, e.g. Lao Mao IBP 816 FB. Please go now. Makatapukan maho IBP 1812. Please take some better. By Nabu Masada Salapaku Salapa Omas IBP 718. Prepare a salapa for me, a salapa of gold. It is also used when the speaker wants something to be done by a third person, e.g. the pasabuma las mayup. He must let it float long. In all these examples, ma stands after the predicate, thereby placing the emphasis on it. Where, however, on the subject is in contrast to another, and because of this has emphasis on it, and stands first in the class, ma is placed after the subject, e.g. Mologumogo ho homa mangolu, hape mologumogo auma mangolu, IBP 168 M. If you are the stronger, may you live. But if, on the other hand, I am the stronger, may I live. Homa talubayan auma monang, you be vanquished by me. May I be victor. Homa jolo mangaton, I be 48B. You read it first before I begin to it. Homa jolo maridi, you bet first. Ima by nugasatu, I be P7 111. Let those me make my things by you. I make those things ready for me. C161C. Siguro magpidaw mas mabayin ko na. Let magpidaw mas be the name you give her. Ogasata mabay kamu. IBP 714. Prepare things for me, not food panganon, which is mentioned a few lines earlier in the story. I.e. for preference. Prepare articles of ordinary use me. Unang biha mo lalap mahatagay at sibujum matabayan. IBP 33 113 FB. Don't waste any more of your time in raillery. Let's talk seriously. Hita Malau to IBP 82 17 FB. Let us, you and me, without the woman for go to the water. Likewise, ma is placed after Gandalf or Gandalfabi Aljang, on which emphasis lies and which therefore stands first in the clause, e.g. Dison Maubain, IBP 8113, put me down here, Disima Homa Sigatuk, IBP 77 120, hang on to it. In questions, ma cannot only be used to express the wish of the speaker, it can also be used when the speaker inquires about what someone else wishes, e.g. masibonota bain pangano ni dainang IBP 7 to IBP 6 to FB. Why is it that we must take with us while you do it? Maugasan ni dainang ubayad IBP 715. What do you want to be prepared as your things? Mauliula muna di bayan nago to taon IBP 1714. What do you want? That you come into this village. Also IBP 1817P 172 116. If do is placed after the interrogative instead of ma, then it is usual to place before niula muna in order to make this passive into a substantive. 165. The question then asks about something in particular, e.g. dona niula muna ubay nago to taon IBP 259 117. What exactly is it that you are doing, that you have come to this village, to which The reply also begins with nasi ibit 120. Ma, in contrast to do, is used in cases in which one's state of mind is expressed, for example, inquisitiveness, doubt about receiving an answer. Ma is also used in cases that are expressed in an exclamatory manner as a means of convincing a person of the effects of what he assumes or of expressing surprise about what someone says or does, e.g. aha mama nosol holiau, BB 37 122. Why do you reproach me? Said in astonishment that her husband throws it up at her that she is the reason for their sons roaming about in the forest. If a guest is coming this evening, what is to be served? Maleonon IBP 45 120. The question was asked because the prince expresses surprise that his subjects have returned home without Gado, knowing that there was nothing to eat. Ahmad Juhud Leondoku Panganormu ABP 2319 FB. How should I be able to give you meat? I.e., how could you be so unfair as to insist on such a thing when you know that I am too poor to be able to regale my guests with meat? Ahama olo makuling. Would seem though the carabit in Sang Mai Mandatu Dalu P1517. How could it make a sound? It is only the trunk of a white bulb banana palm, not a human being, as the man embracing the statue thought. Ahama malopuk anggo akka di haumamunai dohonon BP 28515. How could the sound of quaking be expected on your fields? CFRB P 285 111. Ayahama aumuli anggo idadong hubuan. Why should I come home, especially if I don't bring it with me? The example C150 22 rupa. Apala is often used with ma. In such cases, CRBP 148 112 CF 157 with a negative. So isos, e.g. So diolo ina hidupmu ay anak na doho. How could she not consent to what you say as you are her son? Asaudok how maku inon luhut na ay songoni binay ni hatata tiyan gumaon ABP 28719. Why should I not say that all those fields are mine? It has been so established by our agreement from this village. Malo maso di sida chata exercise. Other kinds of cases in which ma is used are utanisima di tabatnamu. IBP 171 4FP. I want to know whose village have you conquered? Isima Goagmu, the current within Sangmai Mandatudaru, PX13 FP. What is your name? Tell it if you please. Isima Sibayu Hajutmon. IBP 15114 FP. Who is the weaver of your pouch? Ask because the speaker is amazed at the beauty of the weaving. Isima Ho Nagoinon, the car within Sangmai Mandatudaru, P1615 FB. Who are you that has come? Expressing astonishment that someone has come. Tehe is also used in this type of question, e.g. I isi matehe goang ninata IBP 151 118 FP. What then is your mother's name? Expressing great interest on the part of the speaker in a person in whom he thinks he recognizes somebody he knows. Isi major mamanisia go to Tataon IBP 103 113 FP. What motor would come here to our village? Says the old woman in attempt to convince her visitor that there was no one in the house. Isi matakona dege bagason. Who would dare to visit this house? Dia is used with ma, e.g. dia mai sali di sopo dohami ABP 77 14 FP. Where would they have come from? We have not left the sopo na tu dia ma di bentubunai ABP 4114. Where would she have put her child? Said by the husband speaking to himself. Isedo
asks especially about one person among a stated number of persons, or it is used when an answer is specially demanded or is anticipated, e.g. Isiro hamu na olo mangaku pianggi kon makotsak RBP 167-14. Who among you is the man who wants to match my younger brother at fencing? Isiro goamu RBP 78-112. What is your name? I command you to tell me. Isido nina goani hahami. RBP 171-2FB. What he asks is the name of your elder brother, a question which implies the certainty that the person addressed is in a position to give an answer. Pagunisido RBP 13-113. Whose daughter is she? You know her, so that you can tell me. Ma is often used with dia to express the wish to have something or to see something, e.g. dia matubuni dahang bau RBP 512FP. Where is the child my sister-in-law has given birth to? I.e., I want to have the child here with me so that it can be welcomed into the world by being presented with disguise. Dia madalan lau tutoru RBP 324-16. Which is the path below? Dia maldungun ni rohamu RBP 175-114FP. What is it that is yachting you? Be so good as to let me know. Jolo can be used instead of ma, e.g. Dia jolo garangmu RBP 82-110. Well, I beg you is your payment. Dia with the second person pronoun after it can even have the same meaning as nakon 164-43. E.g. dia hamu mamasi asaujalo. Give me the gold so that I can take receipt of it.
In combination with do, dia refers to a specific place, e.g. dia do hadik dehani ugasami, the car between Sangmai Banda to LP 14M, which the place where the thing of yours fell, within this defined space. The dia do usani dokmi, RBP 52-112. Where side is the deer you spoke about? We have reached the place where it is supposed to be. Here it should be noted that do, because it refers to the fact, is often used where something has been effected. Hence, it is often used with the pronoun na 165 or with it. In addition to the examples already given, this can be seen from the following. To dia do, tiba in ho isini hu taun, RBP 324-150FP. Reader, have you taken the inhabitants of this village? To dia do na tinubuhon mi. To dia do na tinubuhon mi. RBP 4117. Reader, have you put what you have brought into the world? Ahado lihat ni na tinubuhon mi. RBP 4117FB. What then is it that you've given birth to? Nasongod dia do ulaning na tubui. RBP 419. What kind of thing then is what has been born? Natia dia do ho. RBP 84-115FP. Whence you have come? RBP 85-116FP. This kind of occasion, where the predicate represents something as having been completed, the mere use of nunga is sufficient. CF 158-9. E.g. nunga tu dia lihat ni lau na puna sopon. RBP 11-19. Where would the inhabitants of the sopo have gone? Nunga tu dia angimuna. RBP 83-111. Where has your brother gone? CF examples in 158-6. In the same manner, boha beha, do is often in opposition with bohama 146-3b, e.g. beama by noku biyang si patugidalan, the cow between Sangmai Menda to Dalu P617. What must I do? What must I do with the dog patugidalan? Or examples 121, buado di dog paham amang udam, the cabin Sangmai Benda to Dalu P4113. What did your uncle say? This account for Behama Ida Ahaso above, e.g. Behama Ida Tang in the Tangisau, RBP 125-113. Why should I not cry? Other examples 153-3. With bahasa has already been dealt with in 133.1. CF also RB P7.1.2 FB P9.1.5 P11.1.2 P14.1.10 and with Hinan in 158.4. Is also used with in the occasion in which there is no interrogative subjective question, e.g. tadi konon muau, tadi konomu mau. IBP 117. Do you want to leave me behind? Finally, it is necessary to draw attention to the fact that the imperative, or the other way in which a wish is expressed, always has a passive form if a transitive verb is used, because even though the subject is undefined or unknown, is an imperative to agent, as the suppressed address person is always known 105, e.g. patudon madiau pidong na malo makata-hata, ABP 67.1.3. Show me a bird that can speak. Dative voice is rarely used, but when it is it has the form of a substantive, C99, which is followed immediately by the object, e.g. pahudulda tu mahita asadiatan paksogniarita. Let us have a datu sit so that we can look into the reason for our feet. That this need not be so can however be seen from pahudul majolu datu. ABP 81.120. Let us have a datu sit and tapatidang bugusibaso, ABP 61.121. Let us have a sibato then. Wherefore, on behalf of is to be expressed when the subject is undefined. The person on behalf of something. Mas7 is indicated by a substantive and the preposition ni, or by means of a pronominal suffix. Where the subject is defined, the preposition di is used before the substantive representing the person. It's yugisatu by kamu above 6 to hayunatibon mabain sopaku, ABP 8118. Go and make or place a sopo in this height tree for me. August na non purehetku, ABP 21.1.2. Police a purehet for me directly. Buat madiau ati-ati nila lipiuan, ABP 114.116. Take the head of a puyuan lali for me. Or the example C 51.5a. Can also drop out in an imperative if a second person pronoun is placed between two verbs that qualify each other. The familiar jang then comes to the front of the clause, e.g. Totok po maruhum lehet to makata-hata, ABP 137M. Be firm in giving judgment. Be correct in what you say. Di buang mulak mandailing. Return quickly. Sikop kamu mulak mandailing, ABP 213.117 FB. Further indicates that an action is represented as uncompleted, or instead as unfinished, or as having not yet become reality. The predicate then represents something as taking place at a certain time, be that time past, future, or present, while the action expressed either ceases to continue by virtue of a subsequent action, or the active action itself remains uncompleted. See examples in 106, 107, and 119. Therefore, is often used after the predicate in sentences containing successive actions or states occurring in the past, so that in their translation we have to use the imperfect tense, e.g. torang ni harina, belau mana sidang Magdala, dong ni makuring masitabi mobak suro. The next day, having down, they went on a journey, and having gone on the journey, and giving on a journey mobak suro seed, etc. At the beginning of stories, one finds Adong Mahalak, etc. There was once a man, or there lived a man. The literal meaning is imagine there is a man. In this case also, ma indicates the desire of the speaker, as he requests the listener to let his imagination take him back to a former time. Adong Mahalak can, however, also imply a desire of the speaker other than the request to the person addressed, to imagine himself to be in another time. Depending on the context, it can mean there may live a man, or there is a man. Imagine. In RBP 44.1.1, we find Maridi Mahalak Disi, the people best there. i.e. they are accustomed to bath there, because by ma, the act of bathing is represented as being uncompleted. The bathing could take place at either the time the speaker is speaking or at any other time. Where were though to be used instead of ma, the meaning would be they only bath there, and nothing else is being done there. Ma is often used in sentences in the translation of which the present tense must be used, e.g. Ima isian di Sombaon Raja Tumording ABP 8112. That is the dwelling of the Sombaon Raja Tumording. But as distinctions in tense of this kind are of no consequence to the Batak, the ma in I masih dan berguna IBP 992 IBP 92 FB refers to the past, i.e. that was the youngest of his daughters. By contrast, there is Ido Namakuati, the Karbi bin Sang Mai Menda to the Rupi 1417 FB. That is the one who carries the light, not Sang Maima as we thought. Other examples of the use of ma are supposed to do are Pagadongan Yamatamai, ABP 44-115. Those are your father's gadong fields. On Masobaon Nahudoki, ABP 8114. This is the Sombaon of whom I spoke. By the use of ma, the speaker is simply expressing the wish that the listener should pay attention to what he is saying. This also applies in the following samples: imana masigadong guagna, harigadong mai tinulakonai, gadong ma napinanggu honai, pasigadongan ma pagbubean niya di pulinai, pasigadong ni amataroi. BB 44-116 FB. Look, that is what is called lifting gadong. Haligadong are the things they make a hole in the ground. 51-4. With gadong are the things they are throwing aside. Pasigadongan are the stakes behind them. Those people are your father's gadong lifters. In the subordinate clauses, ma often expresses the wish of the person spoken to or of person referred to, e.g. Molo Pangulu Mahoni Mudigokakon Dengan, ABP 225-1 FB. If, as you say, you will be the Pangulu in this case of mine, good. 9 is used with ma particularly in subordinate clauses in which the point of time at which something is about to happen is stated, e.g. 9 di sapato ma idiki, ABP 419 FB. When he wanted to throw away the edict, said etc. 9 tubuh ma na di dalam laut, Roma udah si topi langit, ABP 120 M. When what was in the sea was on the point of being born, there came terrible rain, etc. Another example, 164-4A. A subordinate clause of time can also be indicated by the use of ma without naing after the predicate, e.g. Manaili maibana tukijang si toha maksitijuk si bogu pukti di bulan. When he looked above, pukti di bulan accidentally spat upon him. Ma seldom comes after the predicate in the clause containing simultaneous actions, e.g. lau maibana maridi tutapiani, Tibon mapahopunai. She went to the bathing place to bathe and took her grandson with her. In such cases, asa cannot be used in front of Tibon. See 164. Ma is also seldom used in a predicative adjunct, but an example is tidapot inani si Jonaha na sinoro ni babiat ma. ABP 226-13. Jonaha's mother found her son, being clutched by a tiger. It is noteworthy that some people always drop ma when Manigo 162 is used at the beginning of a series of main clauses in which successive actions are mentioned, e.g. Nungi matigog di siat manuk na duay, sun di siat mandigog ditutungi, sun ditutungi mandigog di lopajut manugi, sun masak mandigog di saputi tu. 50. For Pulung Gaul, that being done, he killed both the folks. Having killed them, he burned off their feathers. Having removed their feathers by burning them, he cooked the two folks he had killed. When their meat was cooked, he wrapped it in banana leaves. Mandigo is also used in a main clause, which though after the predicate, while the preceding subordinate clause has ma,
iji di bigi pananggai ni si yonai ma di bagaswaran yo punai doda mandigok malojong do pananggai tian bagas lau tu sopo IBP 2021-4. When Jonas dog in the house heard his master's voice calling Doda, he rushed from the house to the sopo.
When jadi is used to express approbation, though is often used with a tongue or with tutu, neither of these words occurring if ma is used e.g. After his daughter had reassured him, he said that is good. Jadi my IBP 811. After Jonah had told her who had been carried off, as the dead body instead of him, she said, Jadi my IBP 245 116 FB Molosongoni Jadi my. If that is so, then it is good. But if you can get leaves for waving, that will be fine. Jadi do tutu IBP 1319 CF IBP 16115 FB P17 111 P149 1A. If you want to take lessons, then that is good. Jadi watong IBP 18 119 CFRB P158 114 and 122. It can be seen from these examples that jadido is more used than in a main clause if the preceding subordinate clause begins with small o. Atong and tutu can be omitted and do only use or atong or tutu can be used without the do. See IBP 1111 FB and P1617 FB. From this use of do with atong or tutu, it appears that do indicates really more than ma. As a consequence, jadi mai has more the sense of that will find and is more friendly way of expressing oneself. In Toba, Yadung do the choir between Sang Mai Main Datu Dado P16 112 P19 15 and 19 is used instead of Nungma IBP 79 116 and 118 or Nunga IB 81 15 SB CF 11B. Mandarin furnishes nothing body. In the South, me is used instead of ma before the pronoun e when functioning as substantive 29E1. Diary uses more before which mother is used as a negative CIBP 70 116 P203 115 just as it is before ngo 165 1D. The O of mo and ngo is often omitted before a pronoun functioning as a substantive. Kadengidi is used instead of kadengoidi. Why is it that she also diary? Likewise, one finds Madam who have visit to Madam IBP 183 11. Diary also uses ma but after the predicate in an indirect question in which ta is used 147D, e.g. tah masakade bagasma IBP 618. In order to know how deep it is, dengan mo tah kadema IBP 7116. Look at it in order to see what it is. Let me find how deep it is so that I shall know what its depth amounts to. The masakade ma bagasna IB 5116 AB. In addition, there is mamo, which may also be abbreviated to mam. Both mamo and mam are used to lay emphasis on either an interrogative in an urgent request or on a predicate which expresses particular longing or joy, or on a negative in order to strengthen it, e.g. endum hamamu kita kepeken. IBP 143 19 FB. Now we shall have food in abundance, said by a mother who expresses gladness at her son's catch. Labangku mamu kepedi, IBP 147 15. Thus again for me, expressing joy, mada mamaku, mamu aku. And goat peluahkan kono, IBP 171 5. I've absolutely no intention of letting you go. Ulang ke yamam katengku, IBP 254 17. Surat torai, the iron would be damaged. Pengke mam tuhu penari hinendene kubahan ken gerang mo kene. IBP 131.15 FB. Do you really wish me to give you all a name? Umbue mam panganan ena. IBP 257.75 116. What a lot of these sweets there are. The Hemam Panaghin IBP 611 FB. The mind is hungry. I insist to find out what is at the end of the cave. Mi memam kono katemu merbinaga idi IBP 274 116. Where is it that then you have in mind to go to trade? This place before substantive to confirm earlier information about the thing represented by it. Its function is, in fact, to recall the listener something that he already knows about it. E.g. ada bodin molosalpu, cakana mapulta, quotation dictionary under ada. Of course, a gun will burst if it's loaded too heavily. Mandeling, as the pronoun before the substantive, e.g. ada idan ng kinodi ko malabing na butag, BP 128.12 FB, regarding the chart which I mentioned sometime before a white lobby came etc. Ada is used as is iya in Toba, where a person is spoken of who has not been referred to for some time. Iya introduces something that is about to be spoken of, in contrast to something that has just been dealt with. The matter introduced by Iya is either something that has not been mentioned or something that has not been mentioned for some time, e.g. after the songbound's daughters have been mentioned by name, one by one, the storytellers go to speak of their sons. Concerning sons, he had two, 99 of one was RT, the older ia anak dua sada si Raja Tonja sada, BP 911 FB. After speaking of his mother, Margot Dawana began to speak of his father, saying, "My father now has stayed behind in the middle wall. Ia matanami dito din de bata, dito nga do dingal." RPP 151.19 FP. See also 163 11. Tung is also used for the same purpose. He also says number 165 3B. There is no doubt that Ia is the same as the word dark within 163 11. CF also 165 2. The use of na as emphasizer. Na functioning as relative pronoun is often used to give emphasis. CF 157. As such, it occurs before a passive verbal substantive, e.g. aha mabuaton, BP 168 16. What is it that must be taken? Adong manabuaton, BP 168 18. There is something that must be taken. Berwog na jupas yang pogla mahape na sobuaton bayin parumain, IBP 175 116. A wife that is obtained from a garden is not one that must be taken as a daughter-in-law. Say nagagaromu do magsogot diyaw luhut na, IBP 218 11. The whole of it, your debt, must be paid by you tomorrow to me. Ito file sa nabayakonok kudo si Jonaha, IBP 222 15 FB. Jonaha must be put in the stocks by me. Ito file sa nabuano nami do pananggaimi na non. BP 2021 112 FB. Your dog must now be taken with us. Without fail. In all these examples, it can be seen that na special definite intention of I will certainly put Jonaha in the stocks. I insist you pay me all tomorrow, etc. Before an active form, the which thereby becomes substantified. Na is sometimes used as and sometimes not, e.g. namachalai, etc. IBP 7113 FB. The one who is seeking a bird that can be taught as Isai. Na is also used on P72 110, again P76 117, but on P72, 16, and on P74, 111, it is omitted before nonative verbal substantive. Na may also occur, e.g. molo na so pangalas subdo ho diao ABP 223 114 FB. If you are not one who has cheated me, molo na pangulu ho ABP 256 17 FB. If you will come as pangulu. Now is used especially before a first or a third passive. It will indicate a completed action, e.g. Nadipasula agajay doau. I'm the one who has been said by the prince. Nadio konasira dohami. RBB 45 114 FP. We are the ones who have been commanded by them. Ayango Nabidunu Rijol Mado. RBP 8319. Because if he has been killed by a human being, this meaning flows naturally from the substantiving force of na, the action thereby being represented as a fact. See below. Na is often used before a wrong 158-23 to give it an affirmative meaning, e.g. na dong maulaw na ABP to 113 FP. There is something that must be done with it. It has the meaning effect where a conjunction is suppressed, e.g. Dong sidohonon barang diutang garagon barang disingis tungguon ABP 250 to 118. If there is something that must be said, either about the debt to be paid or about the claim to be collected. Na is frequently used before a word that stands at the beginning of a main clause to indicate the dependence of the main clause on the preceding subordinate clause, e.g. Molodopak kuwag do gana-gana satunginon na ulo magtubol do na matinon ABP 253-14. If those images of Satung turn their faces to the outside, then their death will be avenged. Naso is used when the main clause is negative, e.g. Anggodopak bagasan huta do gana-gana satunginon naso magtubol do na matinon ABP 253-117. If, on the other hand, those images of Satung turn their faces towards the interior of the village, then the dead will not be avenged. If such a main clause suwada can be used instead of naso, but the preceding clause must then have the same negative, e.g. molo suwada ulo suwada south son gora munaon ABP 275-13. If you want a pay a dang 153, then the case of your people will not be brought to a conclusion. Nice use before a clause explaining the reason why a person has done something, e.g. naunang di dahamu dakal bebinsang may wenda tudaru P916. I have done it so that you should not see it. After comparing the places in which na is used, I have come to the conclusion that the replacing of it only serves to give the form of a substantive to the predicate. Hence, its use where one reproaches someone about something he has done. For example, you are a deceiver is a more definite assertion that you have deceived. In Batak, however, a word like deceiver can take an object, so that one can also say, you are deceiver of me above. In addition to the examples already given in 126.1 and on P297, 196.15 FP and P343.17, there are still one or two that should be mentioned. Namabia Roho ABP 14M. The one who is afraid is you are coward. There is also reports in Nalaudo inamurum doibana. It was it, the deer that went off. It was he who slept. The speakers are complaining because the man who had asked them to go with him to fetch the deer, he presumed to be dead, had caused them a lot of trouble by his stupidity and denying Magurupan by Yuodo, ABP 1718 FP. She's simply one who wants to learn the art of weaving and attempt to dissuade someone for holding an ill-founded opinion based on mistrust, i.e., how can you mistrust the reason for this woman coming? She is quite clearly not someone who is seeking a quarrel, either to naing magbada, see the nice proceeding in the RB. Na is also used to give emphasis when one wants to avoid an expression of disbelief, e.g., having hidden his mother up a tree so that as though she were somebound, she would give a decision in his favor, and fearful lest his listeners would not believe that the super somebound had said. Jonaha said, "It is nothing but the truth. What that somebound said na sitong may hata ni sombaw ni." IBP 294 112. Now is even placed before an verb functioning as a predicate for the sole purpose of emphasizing it, e.g. babu wal magarakhon na buti manin na si Jonaha. IBP 207 110. There, take my payment, thus spoke Jonaha. That na itself often implies the completion of an action above, of which the translation requires the perfect 158. Also appears from its use with the pot 106 Nadabot Nadab Utaban the Hamidui IBP 171.4 that we have captured. Likewise in Atikna Lupau di Gubana IBP 157.1 FP. Perhaps I have forgotten what he looks like. Now, is also used where something is only supposed to reach completion, e.g. Atihu ng nahutawag P 281.16 FB. Had I not cured you, even had you taught me not to do so, I would still have consulted this. May go repipe na sulingok kudo atong alamaton IBP 123.12 atik na dioloiho mauphupu adok ko magutang yan. Had you accepted my decision, would you then have been fine? Another example 164 70. From these examples, it can be presumed that ni 166 in out ni is only a variant of na, e.g. out ni unang diruruhok dongan sa hutang tubaga sa lobang ilo tung mate na behunian. IBB 326.17. Had you not thrown your fellow villagers into the abyss, you would not now be dead. What examples 155 in. Nice place before a qualificative verb having the infix when it is the predicate and stands after the subject, e.g. tumabu doi IBP 71.8 dos ang modesty but na ditorui na tumabu IBP 71.11 dos binit ang modesty or the modesty na is also used after masari, e.g. masari nauli IBP 45.116 FP. Your daughter is very beautiful. Say naborat IBP 225.116. Say boratan 134 2C is also found. For nasai C154 and for na before such words as musi podo nama C165.44. Likewise before maun 150.26, e.g. mate ho na maun disugo by beard you are at the point of being caught by a tiger. The Batak has a preference for using na before an active verb with an object in order to make the verb function as the subject of a verb that expresses a comment if the person who is given the comment is not specified by name or is for preference, or designated by a substantive, not even one indicating an unspecified person, such as Halak, e.g. Didokon na Mapio Rajai. The one who had to summon the prince was commanded by him. He sent for the prince. Na, however, be omitted. E.g. Usugu Magalapo 165.1. I have sent for you. Didokoko Magalapao ibit. He have sent for me as a Tasugu Mangalap, so that we send for him if the person who is given the command is named, the construction verb, the substantive indicating the person can be put before or after the verb representing the action he has to effect. Verbs with the prefix pa, which have the suffix on only in the active 66 must here always have the nominal form 99, e.g. didokon mahalak mangan. He commanded the people to eat. Didokon mana posuna pa ibang amang. He ordered his servants to spread a large mat. Disugo jomani gajay mana posana mana gon lagi to sopo podomani tubai. The prince's wife ordered her servants to take small sleeping mats to the sopo where the people from Toba were to sleep. 133 didokon major manai matuda si topion to hot pas paulisati. He commanded his wife to pound rice for the sitopion and to prepare over the sacrificial rice. Examples of the substantive representing the person who is being commanded being placed after the verb
didokon gajai na muse magmahan haupunai si piso somalum. The priest commanded piso somalum also to guard his buffaloes. Didokon Batak ugasanai halak turania. He ordered someone or certain persons to take his goods to his village. Didokon mangalo paburuna. He ordered store to cook rice. Didokon mamanga jomato kopi. He let the company eat. The thing that is ordered to be done can also be expressed by a passive verb or substantive or by a first passive. Didokon madisi egg jomana hajutna. He ordered his wife to fill his pots. Didokon siaji pamasa mahosana suatoni buruburi RBP 7519 FP. Ajipama commanded the woman to measure his lifespan. The person given a comment can also be introduced by the example on P342 16 FB instead of binding as in the previous example. Manding places the verb representing the thing is commanded to be done immediately after the verb species the actual command manu mandeling F3, so that when a first passive is used, the former stands before a substantive or a pronoun functioning as the agent. Two nominal forms are then side by side and form a compound, e.g. the su alap ia 102. The aforesaid person who was commanded by him to be brought, he sent for him. See example in 158 6m. Malay has a similar construction when the verb representing the command is in the passive, e.g. disuruhnya pagbuat 99 menyuruh berbuat.